smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys. Miss Liz is back, and that's right. I have a returning guest in the house. We're still trying to figure out if it's 3 or 4 times, but she's a returning guest and she's one of my favorites. So we have DC Gomez in the house. We're going to be getting into her tea tonight, and her tea is transformative, energetic, and antiostic. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. I'll get her to say it, but that was her tea. But we also found some words that she gave me over the years, and those words were enthusiastic, loyal, and energizer. My tongue is just twisting all different ways with words tonight. So we're going to get all of those words out tonight during our conversation. We're going to get some good news out. DC has some really good news that we're going to talk about as well on today's show. And we're going to bring back her first book, and we're going to tell you why we're bringing that back as well. So before we get started, we're going to get everybody over to Miss Liz's YouTube channel, Spotify, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those platforms, and just follow, subscribe, and share these tea times out, because every tea time makes a difference. Now let's get into the disclaimer, and then I'll do an intro, and then we'll get DC in here and we'll spill some tea tonight together. So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or check out my link tree, Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect those wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Now let me give you a little bit on DC, who's sitting in the background. So tonight we welcome back to Tea Time's table the incredible DC Gomez. DC is a multiple genre author, speaker, and creative powerhouse, best known for her beloved Intern series. With a gift for blending imagination and inspiration, she creates stories that not only entertain, but also empower and uplift. DC believes in using the power of words to inspire others to dream, to heal, and to rise stronger. It's always a joy to have her return and share her world of creativity and empowerment with us. Please join me in welcoming back DC Gomez. Welcome, DC.
Hello, dear. How are you?
I am awesome. And yourself?
I'm amazing. Can I have you do my introduction everywhere? Because that was absolutely fabulous. I was like, I'm a powerhouse. Yes. Let's do that anytime. You can tell everybody. I'll take it. Sounds amazing.
Well, you're one of my powerhouse. You're my returning guest of 3, 4 times. We're still trying to figure it out. But
Well,
it right, we'll take it all. So DC, for new listeners tonight that are tuning in and they may not have seen your tea times, share a little bit on who DC was as a little girl and who DC is now.
I am originally from the Dominican Republic. For anybody who's not familiar, I grew up in Massachusetts. So I have one of those really eclectic backgrounds. So I originally trained as a filmmaker. I joined the military. And then in between an adult, I became a writer. So kind of trying to come back home. As a creative person, I do everything from podcasting to writing to just being a storyteller. Whichever medium that means, I'm going to try to do it and just enjoy the process as a whole.
And I'm glad that you brought that podcast up because I did find that podcast and I put it inside the minds of authors.
Yes.
Why that title for your podcast?
It's so much fun. It's an actual take on inside the the artist studio, like the actual actor studios. Like I love the part of just being able to have communications with authors. And when I started the podcast, it's turning 5 this year, which is amazing. It was one of those things somebody asked, if you're going to do a podcast, what it's going to be about. And it needs to be something that I could talk for a long time and something that I love and enjoy. And I was like, I like authors. I like books. I would love to learn more about those two things. So here we are. And it's like 200 episodes later. So I was like, but did I really like authors and book this much? Because I have committed, like we're committed into this now. It's like, I guess I do. So yeah, here we are.
I guess when we start seeing the numbers, right, we're like, oh, okay, we are passionate about this.
Because in the beginning, you're like, I'm just going to talk to all of my friends who write books. It'll be great. And then you're going, I don't know if I have this many friends who want to talk to me about books. Like, who are all these people? So it becomes really fun.
And DC, you write in a number of genres. You write in urban fantasy, alternate history, tales, anthologies, contemporary fiction, young adult, children book, nonfiction, humor. Like you're in all of those genres. Like, so do you want to share a little bit about some of your books?
So I'm the accidental multi-genre author because I don't think I realized you're not supposed to do these things. Like if you're trying to be very commercially successful, you're supposed to pick a genre and just do that. Well, I don't read that way. And I figure I run my own business. Once again, it's the adult in me. I was like, I can do what I want. I'm an adult. I can do this. And it was like, I really should have thought a lot more closely in terms of what it is. So now I tend to describe everybody and myself, primarily because I do more urban fantasy than anything. I'm an urban fantasy writer that dabbles in other genres. So people can kind of be like, oh, we can kind of go here. The one thing about all of them they all have in common is you're going to find tons of quirky characters. There's going to be dark sense of humor thrown in there. It's just disclaimer for everybody. You're going to have lots of action and adventure. But yes, I can go from fiction and give you lots of fantasy or just, dark contemporary adventures, or I can go to nonfictions and do lots of motivations and devotional. So it just goes from one scale to the other.
We just got a question that came in and it says, how do you use humor, quirky characters, banter, observed situations to balance darker themes like war between factions, elves, vampires, plague, and end of humanity stakes? So I'm guessing they're reading your books.
It's actually a very good description of my life. I guess that would be the best way to put it. I don't think I realized how much it's a reflection of how I see the world. I am prior military. So one of the things that I always tell people, you're either going to have to make a joke about it or you're going to cry. Some things in life can be very, very heavy. I grew up in a household that everything was funny. Like my dad could find ways to educate through parables. So I was like, I learned that when I was an adult. I was like, what is this? Like, do you do parables for teach? Nobody told me that. As an adult, you learn these things about your parents. But I also found that humor tends to make things a little lighter to deal with. We tend to process easier. It's not as much as in your face. The interesting part about it is I did not think my characters were quirky. I have a huge disclaimer. I had a reviewer who said, she has quirky characters. And I was offended. I was like, I take my characters very seriously. And then a dear friend looked at me and said, honey, you're quirky. I was like, ouch. Like, what? Like, I am? They're like, yes, you're quirky. And we love you. So that's okay. So it became one of those things as a writer, like you tend to own. I'm like, I didn't know I was quirky. I didn't realize I was these things. And now I'm like, I guess I'm quirky. So are my characters. So here we are. And yes, it's a ton of zany plot and kind of like, because I take the plot so seriously, you have some very dark themes. I also did not realize that I write horror into Amazon kids trying to put my books in the horror category. It's like, I really don't. And my new book, they were like, this is really dark. I was like, I thought it was funny. They're like, it's funny.
It's dark.
Really dark. I was like, are you sure? They're like, yes, I don't know how. I was like, man. So I'm having an identity crisis, identifying who I am and what.
But maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe that's a good opportunity. It'll get you in
myself. Come to terms with my own reality. Thank you.
But the dark humor, right? Maybe it's going to open up some avenues for horror that you are directed towards going.
I don't think I write horror. And then people read it, was like, you have a lot of ghosts and zombies and apocalypse. I was like, minor things like that.
That's where it comes in.
Just minor things like that,
Never even thought of it like that. Like,
neither did I. I also talk about, death is very prominent in all of my books. There's tons of ghosts, all the things that you would normally, kind of put in that category. But I'm like, but it's really humor oriented. So I would never connect the two. So is there a mashup between horror and comedy? I'm it. This is what you're looking at. Like,
I've been identified tonight.
I need the poster child for like mashup between confusing genres. This is her. Sign her up. So yes.
We just never know, right? The way we write and how people perceived our writing. But it does make a lot of sense now. Ghosts, vampires, like, yeah, it is
zombies,
scary. Like,
all the things that you have every single like horror movie describing. And I'm like, but I'm not horror. I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, we should talk. So now I claim that I have horror elements. It's just not. And I also do suspense and thrillers. So that's kind of what you get. I have all the pieces that I refuse to claim. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to claim it. Yeah.
You just put another one. I'm that mix and powerhouse author there with all the different genres, right?
Mashup.
All together.
Or confused is one or the other. Either I'm a powerhouse, I'm just confused. I don't know which way you're going with this. Like, put some question marks. That's what I need. It's just gonna be a symbol. I'm like, ding, just a symbol. Formerly known as DC. Yeah.
I found a humor book called The Cat Lady Special and a Desperate Cat Lady. I never even knew about these books. I was just like, whoa, I never knew about these cat books. Tell me about these books.
I'm going to give you background information. When I started this series, I was aiming to do a romance. I'm just going to put it there. Keep that in the back of your mind, right? That was the intent. Then I learned I don't really know how to write romance. I was told this very clearly because this is depressed cat lady terms arms dealer. And they were like, girl. So this is why I get in trouble. They were like, I think you missed the mark. I was like, but she finds love. It's like she doesn't end with a guy. I was like, she doesn't even go on a date. I'm like, she does have a date. They're like, not the same.
But she gets a cat.
She had the cats, I guess. It doesn't count. Just two. They're really cool. So yes, and they're not magical. I had to explain that to people. I'm like, no, they're just cats. Cats are just evil. They're not magical. They're just cats. So yes,
you have cats in all of your books, do you not?
It was an accident. I never meant to do that. And then I was just stuck.
She's a cat lover.
I didn't know I like cats. They just keep appearing in my life and in my books. So now we just own it. It's another one of those things I have to claim and own. I feel like we're having confession time. Should be instead of tea time, should be confession with DC, because this is what it feels like. I'm like, I don't think I was ready for all of this, but okay. We got this. We're gonna do this.
Oh my God, Miss Liz went and did her homework.
I know. I was like, oh my God, what just happened here? Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this.
I want to ask you about the black cat. I forgot the black cat's name.
Constantine. He's technically not black, by the way.
Oh.
I never correct people when they say, I was like, if you see him as a black cat, he can be a black cat for you. That's fine. But
okay,
he's technically striped. He just happens to be dark stripes. He's also a shapeshifter, so he can shape size. So Constantine can be anything you want. So people see him. I have a lot of artists who actually draw him as a black cat, depending on you're taking it. Some people see him. I normally see him as a gray stripy cat, which just happens to be feisty. But I also have a cat that looks like that, so I could be biased. So, you know, it might not count.
I was like, I remember the cat. I remember the cat. But I can't remember the name. I was just like, oh, what's the name? What's the name? What's the name?
Yes, Constantine and his shenanigans. Yes.
So we're going to bring up the first book. We're going to talk about all of that good stuff. And then we're going to talk about some goodies that you just shared with me before we went live. So let's bring that up so you can describe what this book, your first book of the series, and also what this book means as well.
So for everybody, this is Death's Intern. So this is book 1 in the Intern Diary series. It's also the first urban fantasy that kicks off my Reapers world. For if you enjoy legit quirky characters, you have a talking cat who happens to be 5 dozen years old. And the story is basically you're following Isis Black, who is our main leading lady. You know, she's prior military. She's just trying to mind her own business and figure out life, like as every single vet transitioning, and happens to get stuck in Texarkana. So, and she has a dark secret. She accidentally, I'm going to put it that way, accidentally kills Death's old intern. So now she has the job. So Death knocks on the door with a job offer. Isis wants nothing to do with this. She has one good friend that gets kidnapped, and the only way to find him is to take the job. So this is what starts this crazy adventure. So the fun thing about this book is also it's available for free everywhere. I decided in April that with all the madness we have in the world and all the tension and all the different separations, as an author, I wanted to do something different. I really wanted to add something that was positive, you know. So it's amazing that we're talking about it in your show, because you're all about inclusion. You're all about what do we add to this narrative. And as an author, I have works. That's what I do. But I also wanted to give people something to escape. So you get to enjoy Isis Adventure for free anywhere. We want to give away 1 million books. We want to promote literacy. We want to promote inclusion. We also want to have some fun as readers and writers coming together. So the book has a 1 million download campaign. You can get it directly from my website for free. You can get it in any major distributor, anywhere in the world. So that's kind of the catch, is for people just to get lost in this adventure and really have some fun, minding your own business, enjoying Isis's sufferings and tortures as she learns to be Death's intern in North America.
So DC, do you want to tell us a little bit about the cover for the audio listeners that aren't seeing the video, what it looks like and who's in it and all that good stuff?
Our cover is a very, if you're used to urban fantasies, this is a kind of traditional cover. So you have our main leading lady, Isis. You do get to see Bob in the background, who happens to be the older gentleman that gets kidnapped because Bob can't mind his own business. You get Constantine the cat, but you also get to meet Bartholomew. So Isis joins Death, and it looks so very much like explosions and all hell breaks loose in the back. That's kind of the catch. Like anywhere she goes, troubles follows. Like, and we blow up everything you can imagine. Like, she blows up more cars than is necessary for any one person. That's another just story to discuss. But Bartholomew is an 11-year-old boy genius that Death has adopted. So you have to imagine getting a brand new job with amazing perks. If she only read the manual, I'm just going to put it out there. She only read the manual, her life would be so much easier. But she's the new intern for Death in here in North America. And her support system happens to be Bartholomew, who's really much almost an arms dealer himself. And then her trainer happens to be a cat. Like, this is it. This is what she gets to figure it out how to survive this training, because interns have really short lifespans by the sounds of it. So she's like, you can make a lot of money if you survive. Try to last. Don't die.
Gotta live past 30. You can't live past 30, right?
Technically, they want to last 6 months. They don't tend to last that long. So for some reason, don't have it. Because here's the reality. Their main job is anything. So in this series, Death is a little different. Death is whatever you think is going to take you to your afterlife. So their goal is they're the UPS for the soul world for anybody who's in the States. So they're just delivering your soul to the next place. The intern's job is to stop anything that can possibly be stopping Death from delivering the souls. So they're stuck fighting, you know, by the way, they're mortal enemies to not vampires, just going to put it out there. So she's stuck fighting everything from demons to vampires to rogue witches to anything that can stop Death. So book 1, you get to introduce to the first villain. And in the series, you get to meet every horseman throughout it. And you also get to meet with every horseman a new supernatural being. So that's kind of the fun thing about it.
Oh, well, that's cool. Well, we have a question here. It says, what inspired you to create such a unique story with Death Intern?
When I decided to start writing, so I want to give you guys a background. I think when I decided to start publishing 8 years ago, I found myself in the place that I think we all hit as adults, that place where sick and tired, being sick and tired. I was in that place where I was very depressed, and I don't think I realized that I hated what I was doing. I hated my job, but I hated just the fact that I wasn't creating. So I found myself, it was in a summer, I can tell you it was July, and I'm sitting in my spiritual director's table, crying my eyes out. And the idea of writing a book came up. I had millions of excuses, like I can't do this, and who's going to read it, and everything I said, like typical spiritual director, she shut down. So I was like, fine, because I'm an extremist, so it's all or nothing. I was like, not only am I going to do, I'm just going to write a novel. P.S. I've never written a novel. Like I went to school for films, I knew how to do a script, never written a novel. So then I needed to figure out what am I going to write about. So a few years earlier, I had tried to finish a short video, and the whole concept, the ending of this is death happens to go to a wrong house and kills everybody. I am dark. Oh my God.
She's realizing something on Teatime tonight. She's going to get off here and she's going to be like, oh no, I am dark.
I'm so dark. So Death got invited to a party. Death crashed the party and killed everybody. As I say this out loud, I was like, this is so dark. And the ending of this video is Death says, oh, I need an intern. So the idea of this horrible story, now that I think about it, oh my God, is why would Death need an intern? So that concept play in my head as I realized I'm extremely macabre. I need some therapy right now. Miss Liz, pray for me. I was like,
okay, let's go into your tea. Let's jump into the tea. Let's get out of the dark and get into the, because your tea that you gave me was transformative, energetic, and
enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic. I can't say that word. Like my tongue just doesn't.
Enthusiastic. It's all good because it's spelled funny. That's all it is.
So tell me why those three words.
One of the things.
And stay away from the dark.
I know we're going positive, which is really funny because I do Monday motivations. You will honestly think for a person who is committed to motivating. I do motivations all the time. Nail them. And then you ask about my novels, and like, no, I'm going to just talk about some death right now. I'm like, I got multiple personalities not working with each other today. So transformative, energetic, and enthusiastic. I am in that stage of my life that I have hit menopause, and I realized anytime you said, the M word, people panic. And I was like, as a woman and as a mom, let's talk about it. This is the conversations that we're having. And I'm in the stage of this transformation, this drastic changes in life that you're having to rethink who you are and how things happen and the changes that you're looking at it, and actually motivating the females in my life to embrace it and make sure that we have a community that's healthy, that is understanding, that is supportive. Because for anybody who's premenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal, this is not for the weak. I don't think anybody put a manual together. I'm working on that book because I'm like, nobody told me this was going to happen. Like nobody explained how my life was going to shut down. I was like, I've been in this journey for about 2 years. Am I there yet? And what does there look like? So it is maintaining that. It's being energetic. You know what I mean? When you don't feel like having the energy, when you're just tired. And sometimes it's being enthusiastic. Like somebody has to be a cheerleader for your group and you're finding yourself like, I guess this is me because nobody else is cheering for us. So it is embracing changes, embracing all those parts that sometimes I think because we're going through so much and things can feel so heavy, we take for granted. I can say in the last year when I started, we're going to do social media and I'm going to promote the books. I was online. I was doing all the things. If you ask me today how long I've been in social media this year, I was like, what month are we in? No, like September. I was like, ooh. I think my Instagram saw me like 3 months ago. I might have to go say hi.
Here comes the zombies.
Legit, I officially have ghost every social media. You send me a tag on TikTok. I was like, oh, that works. I should go, who tagged me? Like, how do I get in? What's my password? Do I have a password? It's been the struggle.
That's how you always bring the zombies and ghosts back into it.
Look,
like,
do you see this? I have ghosted myself and the rest of the world. I was like, so it's been one of those journeys that I was like, can you give yourself grace? Can you give yourself grace to be in this present moment and to understand that it's not going to be pretty? I have an assistant who's amazing, because the only reason my Facebook page is up to date is because she posts for me. And then she goes, you got to go in and reply. I was like, to who? On purpose? Like today? Like, I was like, you got messages. I was like,
Right now, like,
and I was like, how do I get in? Like, where are those messages? We need a disclaimer that I'm here. I think I'm barely here. So those words are the things that really resonate when you're in the process of just kind of refining yourself and being okay. And as you can tell, even though the process is hard, I'm going to find a way to make fun of it, because this is how I write. And life is just kind of, you just have to laugh about it, because it's not for the weak sometimes.
we just had a question that came in for you, DC, about menopause.
Yes.
Do you find that most women ghost themselves going through the first stages of menopause?
We are not informed enough as a society of how hard it is. So here's the one thing that hit me. I have a medically induced menopause. For anybody who's interested, if anytime you have a hysterectomy, I'm putting my business out there, which is because I think we need to talk about it.
We do. We need to get it out there.
You have to discuss it. So you have a medically induced menopause. And because I didn't have the typical symptoms, like I wasn't getting hot flashes, I took the pills. I officially thought, it's not going to happen to me. I got this. And got really big cocky into myself. Into about 3.5 months into it, I woke up and I was like, I am losing my mind. Like, I can't remember things. I can't keep up. I used to be able to manage 4 different social medias and books. I used to be able to do book and a day job and still kill it. I was amazing. I can barely do one thing at a time. Like, I don't even know what happened. I don't know this person. And somebody said, menopause brain is a thing. And I'm like, what is that? And like, I have brain fogs. And I was like, what's a brain fog? Why are we not discussing this? So I have found tons of research in terms of how much our body changes. It's almost like pregnancy brain that nobody talks about. So menopause brain is a thing. And you will find it's not even that you ghost yourself. You don't even remember enough that you are yourself. Like, you're not even paying attention enough to ghost yourself. You're just not there. You're going to figure it out that your time flies faster than you can think about. And you have the greatest intentions and you're going to do all the things. And then 2 months later, you haven't done any of the things. And you're like, did I have a to-do list? And where did I put the to-do list to do the things in the list? Because I'm not doing well. So it is becoming very conscious. I also realize, because I transitioned earlier than some of my friends, I just talk about it all the time. And I feel like I'm always apologizing. It's like, I love you, but I can't remember. So if I don't call back, know that I love you. I might call you back next year, because it might take me that long to remember. So we have had these conversations and people have called me back. I was like, is this what this feels like? I'm like, yes, go get tested. Have these things, because you feel crazy. Like, I don't know how most women, like how my mother and her generation did it. And then even more, then I got mad at my mother. I was like, shouldn't you have informed me of this? Like,
right?
Shouldn't we have had?
Why they talked to us about the birds and bees, but they didn't talk to us about menopause.
Which is a lot more important, because I'm dying here. Like, eventually I would have figured out the other part. How about you talk to me about the things that's slowly killing me? But one of my dear friends said they didn't know. Like, they did not know. And it's something that wasn't discussed. It wasn't something that was easily accessible. And here's the part, like, I feel bad for all the men in our lives, because I can go from 0 to evil in about 2 seconds and run, because
it's like rage all the time, right? It's like a switch. It's like the stupidest thing will put you in a rage. It's horror. The horror comes, right?
And then you have this look, I'm about to hurt somebody, and you're not sure why. And people are like, I'm crying over commercials. I'm like, at least you're not yelling at them. Like, that's an improvement in life. Yeah. So there is all these, think about going back through puberty. You have all these hormones all completely out of balance. All of things, like, things hurt that didn't hurt. I have a friend who her eyesight is being affected. Your hair starts falling. I was like, I'm kind of vain. I really like the hair. You know how much money I spent in this? What do you mean it's going to fall? Where is it going? So we have all these conversations that, because we have made the topic of menopause so taboo, nobody talks about it. If you ever stop me and we're having conversations, we're going to talk about it. I was like, we need to talk. Like, where are you at in your life? Have you thought about this? I'm like, I think I'm going crazy. Anytime a woman tells me, I think I'm going crazy, I was like, you're going through menopause. And they're like, what? I was like, you're not crazy. It's not you. Welcome to the club. And there's a whole bunch of us in this club.
And there's a lot of people that don't talk about women that get hysterectomies going into early menopause. you know, or starting your menstrual cycle early and going into early menopause at a younger age than most of your friends. So people are like, you're not menopausal yet. You're just crazy. You're just losing your mind, you know? Those are the conversations we're not having, and we need to have those conversations. I know it's off topic from the books tonight, but I mean, those are conversations that we need to start bringing to the table. So us women don't think that we're just crazy, you know?
If you hear it enough, you start believing it. If you find the symptoms very much, like there's such a strange change in our bodies, there's such a strange ways of our minds, it feels like entire thought process changes.
Yeah.
The things that used to be important are not. And the things that used to be like, oh my God, I care. You're like, I'm too tired to care.
Yep.
My friend says, wisdom is when you get too tired to care. I'm like, in that case, I have hit, the epitome of
I'm on there, check.
I don't care. But you're tired. There's not enough energy to do things. And then you have to become extremely strategic. Like you have to say, what is going to happen today? Because I only have enough spoon for one. Pick whatever you want. That's what's going to happen. The rest of it is like, I might do them next week because I get one thing at a time. And it took me a very long time to give myself grace. It took me a very long time to adjust to publishing and to writing. I'm a fast writer. Like I percolate in my process. I'm brainstorming all the time. It takes me like 6 months to a year to do a book. And people's like, well, that's normal. I was like, when you're used to doing 3 to 4 and managing things, I'm like, I've lost my mojo. It's gone. And like, that is the most terrifying thing in the world, is to feel like my creativity's gone and I don't know what to do with myself. And what happens? The good news is transition does happen. There is a light. I can tell you, I feel much better than I did 18 months ago. But it's taken 18 months. And if you're not a patient person, this is definitely not for the weak sometimes. And you need a group of people that loves you and understands. And you also need a group of people that can give you the grace. So when you're tripping and when you're having these moments, and the men in your life, I remember going to my day job and be like, I'm going to give you some confessions. And they were like, oh God, what happened? I was like, this is what happened. And if you want something and I didn't write it down, it's never going to get done. So don't get mad. And then I walked out the door and they were like, literally, it was a drive-by of information. And then I walked out and they were like, what do I do? What do I do with that? I was like, just be prepared.
Was it good? Was it not good?
Questions. They're like, okay. But I have to become I feel like I'm the person who has to open these doors, because if not, nobody's talking about it. I was like, we need to discuss and not be ashamed of it, because it's never going to change if we're not educating ourselves and then generations that come. And it's interesting, once you hit this stage, then you see it everywhere. Like there's podcasts now coming up. It's amazing to have the books. There's magazines. I'm like, yes.
Finally, right?
But it's also very clinical. Like it's all very much like clinically. I was like, let's be honest. Menopause is kind of funny. Because the things that go through your head is hysterical. Like, where did this all come from? Like,
DC, that's the new book that's coming out with the cat lady in menopause.
It might be a bestseller just for that title. It's like, what is she up to now?
Does a cat understand menopause?
My cat might be the only one. I'm like, I'm about to kill you, woman. I'm about to kill you. I don't know what's wrong with you. And why are you not feeding me? What is going on here? So yes, I go.
You just never know, right?
Here we are.
Well, there we go. And starting that conversation is the ripple effect, and that's what these tea times do, is they cause that ripple effect, right? Because you just never know where we're gonna go. This afternoon we're talking about cereal, magic cereal, and now we're talking about menopause. So you just never know what you're getting on Tea Time. You're getting some books, you're getting some information, you're getting some education as well. It's a little bit of everything on Tea Time.
We're confused. What's just happened? I thought we were talking about urban fantasy.
And that's when all the listeners tune in and are like, are these two mad women going at it? I want to get back to some of these questions that came in for you, DC.
Yes.
Your journey has taken you from Dominican Republic to Salem, to the Army, and beyond. How have those experiences shaped your storytelling?
Nothing is lost in life. I think that's the best way to put it. One of my friends and family member had said something which was kind of traumatizing at the time. They said, you have this degree in film and television and you joined the military, so it's totally wasted. What were you thinking? And I realized, thinking as a filmmaker, everything is shaped by those lenses. And then you're looking at the Army. There's a lot of conversations in the books about being a veteran. There's a lot of conversations about seeing the good and the bad in the world from those perspectives. So as an adult, I'm now able to say everything we do shapes our stories, sometimes more than we think, and nothing is wasted. So as a creative person, you're going to find yourself pulling from different layers and pulling from different locations and being able to be much more compassionate towards your characters as you're taking on these journeys that you put them through hell. Not on purpose, I guess. I'll have
I like how you spilled into that, because the next question is about the next question that I had for you was the creativity of how you shift your voices for each character. And now you're talking about the creation of the characters and the voice, and see how it all just flows together. Like,
you're meant to be. What can I say? So I'm always very paranoid that all my females will sound the same. Like I've always been as a writer, because you're writing. I have multiple series going on, so I'm always like, does it sound like Isis? Does Isis sounds like Angela, or like Katrina sounds like? I'm very specific in the times. So I have a very much idea of the visual of what my characters look like. Just because I'm also very much aware that we all have multiple friends and all of our friends don't sound the same. So when I'm creating, when I'm writing the voices of my characters, I have a very big picture of what they look like and how their mannerisms are going to carry and how they're going to act. On the same, it's going to say, Isis is very sarcastic, and she's going to have like some jab that she's going to take, and she's going to be like in your face. While Angela is a Southern belle. Like Angela's never going to curse. Angela is going to look a certain way. I'm semi-Angela today because I have a 1950s, petticoat and everything, celebrating the new book. But you're always going to have, what are these characters not just look like and sound, but what is their mannerisms, in order for me to keep them straight. Usually when I start writing and people get very paranoid, I have a person in mind, like what is the qualities or kind of characteristics of somebody that I know that I like, and pull them into that person. So when I kind of wonder if my characters are sounding like, I visualize these people like, this is what this person looked like. Unfortunately, some people are not real people. I mean, they might have a trait. They're not based on any one person. It's kind of pulling pieces together. So usually, I think when I wrote Des and Joe, since we're talking about it, Eric, who happens to be our hot and sexy police officers, has some characteristics of a friend of mine who happens to be a police officer. So yes, there's pulling from that. No, like, is he hot and sexy? I'm like, yes, actually, he happens to be hot and sexy.
I gotta pick from somebody, right?
Thank you. There's some things you just like, or everybody's gonna look the same. You can't always just be tall and handsome. Like, what does that mean? Like, what is that? Like, is everybody tall and handsome? So you have a little bit of that, and you have people in mind. Just because if not, it's just worse on a page. So you have to see them as individuals and people to have them be real for others.
I like the way that you bring in the different characters and you visualize them. But when you said that you were paranoid that they all sound the same, do you have an audiobook with different voices, or?
There is an audiobook coming, and they definitely all have different voices. So it's definitely kind of fun. But it's still one of those things I think in my head. And it's not so much the book, the characters on the books, each book, is my females across books that I tend to be very paranoid. I was like, do they all sound like the same person over and over? Once again, remember, I'm quirky. All my quirky characters all sound the same. When I wrote Death Intern, most people like, I imagine Isis like you. And I was like, not my story. I got to work for that.
Not me.
I never visualized Isis.
I'll get the intern to do it.
That's not me. One of the funniest compliments I had, one of my friends, she's like, I can't read your books. I'm like, ouch, that's kind of mean. And she's like, I can't read your books because I imagine Isis being you. And I'm like, okay, I'm confused. And she's like, and then I'm trying to read the books in your voice and you talk really fast. So then I'm flying through the woods and missing pages. I cannot do this. And I was like, what? That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Well, now I say that to people that most people visualize, like, I can hear Isis sounding like you. I was like, why? Like, she's not. Okay.
She's not me.
This is not an autobiography. This has nothing to do with me. God, okay. So you'd be surprised how many people say that. I was like, is that a good thing? Is that a compliment? Because she's pretty hot. Like, she's pretty badass. I guess I can take it. Until they say, like, I just can't beat it because she talked really fast. I was like, once again, not me. But okay. So yes. I've
So
never
do you,
had to defend myself. I've not
so
been
do
my
you,
characters.
so DC, do you have somebody in mind for your voices?
When you say in mind, like if my books became an actual like movie, do I have people in mind?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, as we go through the ages and they don't become movies, I have to continue to like recast my main characters because they keep getting older. And I was like, well, you're no longer 25. I need to find me another
You're 55
-year-old.
now. Like I can't use you.
So now I have been recasting ISIS for the last, like 10 years in my life. I was like, eventually we're going to make this film and we're going to have a 25-year-old. That's what's going to happen. It's just, at this point in time, I think I've gone through like 3 different versions of ISIS. I was like, okay, then let me see who the new one is into like, it changes again. So yeah.
So how many books do you have with the Death Intern?
So Des Intern has 5 novels and 3 novellas, and also has 2 standalone books all within the same series with a character. So if you enjoy really fun adventures, I'm not the author who likes really long series. So the standalone novels, you don't actually have to read the full series. If you are one of those people that have to read in order, I'm sorry. Then you might want to start from the beginning. That's just all I can say. If you don't mind picking up a standalone book and just figuring out this is all I need, then you're good. If not, I don't know what to say. I can't help you. Sorry.
So are they like little mini stories of the 5 books in one?
No, they're full novels. They're just kind of short and fast. Yeah, they're short and sweet. So Cursed by Fur, I'm going to give you kind of, maybe I am dark. So Cursed by Fur is a spicy retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, and she's a serial killer. So maybe I am dark. I'm going to just own that. Mm-hmm. Put question marks on that too. Just couldn't deny it. That one is dark. I can say that.
Motivational Monday. Dark humor.
So Cursed by Fur is dark. I will have no issues admitting this. It's not a happy ending. It is a mashup of urban fantasy and serial killer murder kind of campaign. So I will claim that one. Sorry. I don't know what else to say. I was like, man.
Let's get you out of the dark and get you into the light. Coffee, tea, or boat for those late night writing nights?
I am a tea drinker.
Awesome. Favorite tea?
Either black English tea or I can do chai.
Oh, chai tea. I haven't had a chai tea in a long time.
So good.
Give me one word that describes Death Intern.
Passionate.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with that one.
And that's the word you gave me to describe yourself.
Might as well. We're gonna stick with the same.
Oh boy. Why passionate?
Isis is passionate. Isis is willing to sacrifice everything for her friends. She's willing to do whatever it takes to defend the underdog. There's that fire in her that she doesn't see as much differences as people do. She just loves what she does, and she's going to commit to it, even if it's not the smartest plan she had.
Wow. What advice do you have for inspiring authors who want to build both a creative and impactful career?
Oof, that's a loaded one. An impactful and creative career. Be authentic to your characters. And I don't know if people ever think about it that way. When I wrote the Cat Lady special, the Desperate Cat Ladies book 2, I had a whole different plot for Angela, and my character refused to go there. So I literally had to scrap the entire plot to create something that made sense for the characters. And the characters will eventually speak to you. You will hear these things in your head, and you know this plot. And trying to fight it will actually make you for a very miserable writer because it won't work. It feels off. So be authentic to your characters and then create a story that makes sense for them.
I think that makes a lot of sense, being authentic to the character, because you want to build the character up the right way, like honest, right? With integrity. Oh, I like that answer. Next question I have here. Looking back, what has been your proudest achievement in your writing or speaking journey?
Being able to actually be on social media, because I tend to be, when it comes to online engagement, I tend to be a little bit more reserved, just because I like people. I need to have people interaction. So online reserves was very intimidating to me. And probably my proudest moment was actually being able to start doing book events live. Being able, the first time somebody met me on the street and said, I love your books, I wanted to cry. That was the very first moment that I was that feeling that you created something and you share it with the world and they connected with it and they resonated. Like I had the first time moment that I was like, oh my God, like that feeling of just amazement, because let's be honest, nobody has to tell you they love your books. The fact that they do, it is humbling, and you just like, can I just hug you? Then I do the crazy things that you hug strangers and like, oh my God, and you all look like, ugly crying because you're like, ah. So yes, that's probably one of those moments that really like changed the way I saw things. And I realized while I write for myself, I definitely publish from others.
And what does all of the above mean to you when it comes to your career and personal journey?
All of the above? I am an extremely grateful author. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity, to have conversations like this with amazing people who are in this world and giving back. I'm very grateful for having readers. I'm having grateful readers that send message to Constantine, my 5,000-year-old talking cat, to tell him to be nice to the author, me. And then I realized I actually have readers who send replies to my newsletter to complain about Constantine. I love it. Like, who has that world? So it's being grateful and being loving for the life that I get to live and just kind of share with others.
So we have a question coming in from Instagram, and it's saying, hello, Miss Gomez. For a person wanting to write his own biography, what advice would you give?
Biographies are very tough because either you're going to educate or you're going to entertain or you're going to inspire. So you have to decide, what is the theme of your biography? What are you trying to do? Do you want to inspire people? Do you want to entertain them, or you want to educate them? So if you can find any book you pick up, it's going to have to hit one of those. So if you figured out what you want to do and then be very honest, here's the part. Everybody wants to write a biography. How much of your life are you willing to share, and how authentic are you going to be? Because it's easy to curate who you are to make yourself look as good as we want or as dark as you want. What are you trying to do to educate, entertain, or inspire people in order to put that? What is that lesson? What is that thing that you have that can change or shape somebody else's life? That would be my main thing, because when we pick biographies or autobiographies out, we're looking for that connection, especially if you're not famous and known worldwide. Then you're going to use your life as a story and as a lesson, as a platform to get something to others to help them fix themselves and get better.
And DC, you're a motivational speaker and coach as well, right?
Yes.
So what one message would you share most with those struggling with self-doubt?
So here's the reality is, at any given time, we're all going to be there. We're all going to question ourselves. So self-limiting beliefs is the one thing that's going to hold us back. It's not going to be whether we're good at something, whether we're bad. Most people, if you ever read John Maxwell's books, said, most of us are more afraid of success than we are failure. And we spend most of our times convincing ourselves why we're not meant to be good. We spend a lot of time convincing ourselves why we need to be mediocre, or even more, not believing that we're meant for greatness and that we're meant to be happy. So when you're thinking about it, everybody's like, we always ask, why me? Take that question and be like, why not me? So if you ever wonder, we all talked about the imposter syndrome. We also never talk about professional jealousy. You see nobody wants to talk about it. Let's be honest. We all talk about these topics. We're bringing all these topics nobody wants to discuss.
Right.
So professional jealousy, you work in yourself. And everybody thinks it's like, you just came on the scene and bam. Nobody knows all the work you did behind the scenes. Nobody's ever looking at your sacrifices. Nobody thinks, especially for writing. You're spending a lot of time by yourselves, not spending time with your friends, with your families. You might not be eating, sleeping, whatever it is to get these books out. Nobody sees that. They only see the success or the book or whatever that might be. So take professional jealousy as a motivation. If somebody did it, instead of being mad that they did it or upset that they did it, then motivate that because they did it, you can too. If somebody did something that you're interested in doing, take them as groundbreakers. If they can do it, so can I, and be able to kind of run without being afraid of failure. Sometimes I think we hold ourselves back because we're so afraid what others are going to say that we miss the window of just being happy and just trying.
So we have another comment coming in from my brother here, Lorenzo, from the radio station. You can check him out. He's on all the different platforms. Check out his Facebook page and that. But Lorenzo is saying here, I've seemed to have an orthodox life. I just want to share my life experience with others, especially my great-grandchildren. So he's the one that asked the question about the biography as well.
Awesome. That's something, especially with your grandchildren, that is actually very beautiful. Anytime you're able to share your story with others, people can connect. I think we all have a story to tell, and being able to put your words out is something that most people are terrified. So if you're looking at it, why not write it? Why not put it in there? And if you already have an audience in mind, remember that you're writing for your grandbabies. Keep them in mind as you're writing, and then be able to give them that authentic self. You can also show them that they only get to see this part of you that's doing amazing. You can show them really well what it took to get there and kind of inspire them.
Awesome. I love it, DC. I like when you get the answers from DC, because she's been doing this for a while. So Lorenzo, if I'll connect you with DC so you guys can talk a little bit more about that. I want to get out this surprise that you just gave me before we went live. So let's get that out, because we're almost at the end here. Our time always flies by too fast. So let's share what you shared with me before we went live.
So disclaimer, remember I'm still in menopause. So it's kind of a disclaimer, because Miss Liz asked, so what are we talking about? I'm like, we're talking about your first book. It's like, yes, by the way, I have a new book that's just dropped today. So the fact that we're sitting here, it is today, September 18th, brand new book came out. It's called Sugar Plums and Des Intern, and is probably I want to say kind of fun. I thought it was sweet and innocent. I was told as dark. I was like, thought it was cozy. The hubs kind of reminded me, it's like, I don't know about cozy, but if cozy happens to be dark, we might want to consider it. So it is a fun urban fantasy. It is for anybody who enjoys urban fantasy. Pretty much my intern crew happens to go on a retreat. At least they thought they were going to retreat. Constantine wants to take them on a team building exercise to Hatchetown, Oklahoma. And here's what happens when you put a bunch of supernatural beings in a out of the way cottage, because this is a cottage core, trying to mind their own business. We even have dead bodies dropping on them. Like, it is one of those adventures that you're like,
it is dark.
Some minor points like that. I did not realize that. I did think it was pretty funny because they were all exercises, and bam, there was a dead body. They're like, did we do it? Who did this? Why is this body here?
Murder, She Wrote. Who found it? And who's got it? Like,
and it was in the floor. So they were like, we should call people. So what can possibly be worse than a family reunion with all of your quirky family and friends? A retreat for, professional development. So it's mandatory fun, Reaper style. So yes.
So how did you get the name of that one? And I'm so honored to be the one to drop the new book.
You officially the first one. I think I sent it to my newsletter because we had not talked about it, because it was literally 50-50 whether this book was coming out. Like, it was like touch and go all the way up to Sunday. So this was very much like, this is actually going to happen. I am part of the Enchanted Woods Cutter Clutch series. There is 11 books in this collection. They are not actually attached to each other. They all happen to have the same theme, which happens to be cottage core. There's 11 of us, 10 amazing authors all together creating incredible stories. All of them, this one, thank you for everyone. It does end in a happy ending. I want some props. I want some oohs and ahs, because I've not gotten that from anybody.
They're all like scared right now.
Well, the last one did not end really happy, so I guess I had that coming. But it does end in a happy ending. There's some love in here. Actually, there's a really fun love story. There's a couple of them in here. So I want tons of oohs and ahs for the fact that I actually managed to finish a book in a happy ending. I'm going with that disclaimer. Sticking with us today, this list. We're doing
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Pretty much. I'm like, So check out Sugar Plums and Des Intern. So yes.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the new book, and thank you for sharing that with me and my audience out there. So everybody check out DC Gomez. Like, DC, what message would you have for anybody that's listening tonight or that will listen to the replay about writing books for all different genres?
One of the best things I've ever heard said is from Elizabeth Gilbert, who says, we write brain candy. When we're looking at writing, especially if you're doing fiction, if you're doing urban fantasy, if you're doing any kind of stuff, remember to have fun. Remember that reading is amazing. If you enjoy reading, remember there's an entire person on the other side of that book. And let's be honest, books are very intimate. It's the only thing you're going to take to like the shower in the bathroom with you. Like you don't take other people with you. You like take a book.
You take a
And then-
book.
And then you go to bed with them. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff you're not going to be doing. It's just anybody. But you do it with books. Let's be honest about this. So there's an intimate relationship that you have with these characters. Like these are no longer my characters. I'm just a caregiver. Hopefully not to torture them too much so my readers don't kill me. Enjoy that writing is amazing. And it's a journey. And it's a privilege we get to enjoy. And we do brain candy. So make really good candy. Have some fun with it because it's fun to read. It's my escape. So I write understanding that I hope this is people's escape and you just enjoy the family that I get to play with.
And what book or author has inspired your work?
I got a couple, I can be honest. When it comes to urban fantasy, I am a Kim Harrison fanatic. She absolutely was probably one of the first urban fantasy writers that I got to fall in love with. I love Jim Butcher. So kind of urban fantasy in the States is kind of fun and exciting. And I also like Charlize Harrison. So for anybody who likes True Blood, the HBO series, kind of based on that series, she's probably the first writer that actually got me hooked on small town. So most of my books take place in small town because nothing happens in this book. And yet you're hooked for 300 pages of madness. And I'm like, the only thing she did was wash some dishes. Like nothing happens here. Like, why am I reading this?
Do your dishes.
And you're hooked. And all the madness that happens in this tiny town. And you're like, I want to do small town drama and small town shenanigans like she does it because it's addicting. So these writers have like really influenced just the way that I enjoy storytelling. And it's just kind of the way that I realize I'm hooked on their pages and I'm going, I have no idea what is going on for these 300 pages, but I can't put this book down. And that's kind of the journey I want my readers to have. Like, I don't know what I just read, but I couldn't put it down. And I need to talk to somebody. Like, we might need some therapy at the end, but you're definitely going to be hooked on this book. And then we're going to talk about it.
All I can envision is doing dishes and reading a book. No, but
I must read this book. Can't put it down. I honestly got that message. A couple of my readers in my newsletter got an advanced copy of Sugar Plum and Des Intern. By the way, if you get an advanced copy or when you buy a book, it is technically your book. You can put it down at any time, right? So she's like, I couldn't sleep. I was like, you can't blame me. Like, I am not responsible for your sleep cycle. Because you could have read it in the morning. No, like, I just couldn't put the book down. This is all your fault. I'm like, why do I get blamed for people's insomnia? It's like, that has nothing to do with it. It happens multiple times. Usually every once in a while I get readers like at least once a month. It's like, I couldn't sleep. I'm like, it's not my fault.
right.
Like, you can put the book down. Like, you can pick it up in the morning. They're like, I haven't slept in 2 days. I'm like, once again, not my fault. I'm sorry.
But that tells you that it's a good story. When you can't put it down, you know, it's a good story.
Never feels that way when you're sending hate mails to your favorite writer. Like, by the way, I'd like to inform you, I haven't slept in a couple of days. I was like, I didn't do it. Listen, put the book down. It's okay. You can pick it up tomorrow. Constantine's not going anywhere. I hope, maybe.
So DC, if anybody wants to find you, for the audio listeners and the ones that are watching the video tonight and the replay later, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of feedback from this tea time. Could you tell them where they can find you and all that good stuff?
So pick me up at cgomez.author.com if you truly want some motivations that are not nearly as dark as this commentary today. My minor motivations do actually inspire, I promise. It's kind of, and if you want to pick up Constantine, you can sign up for the newsletter. If you check out the website, you can get the book for free and just kind of join the madness and shenanigans.
And final words for everybody tonight.
Say that again. I think I missed you.
Oh,
one more time.
Oh, we got it. We got a glitch like right at the last 2 minutes.
And I was like, what happened?
Final words for tonight, DC.
I'm seriously grateful and thank you for this opportunity just to come and chat and connect and be able to kind of discuss all of these different topics that I'm not sure connected with anything that we started with in the beginning. Thank you for what you do and kind of for bringing this awareness to this space and making it open for people to discuss all sorts of things that probably were not under a list of things to talk about. Thank you so much. Always so much fun, madam. Thank you, Ms. Liz.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. So let me do a closing summary and then we'll wrap it up and we'll have some giggles after we wrap up. Closing out tonight's Tea Time with DC Gomez has been truly inspiring, full of giggles and laughs. Through her stories and insight, DC shows us how imagination can heal, how words can empower, and how creativity can bridge us closer to our truer selves. She reminds us that we each hold the power to inspire, entertain, and empower not just others, but ourselves as well. May we leave tonight encouraged to embrace our own creativity and to tell the stories that make us come alive. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to all the listeners on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of those platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll see you next week, same time, same place, and we'll do this all over again.